Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Dragoncast. My name is Brian Daniels, and I'm back once again with my podcast partner in crime, all the way out in beautiful California. I wouldn't know if I've never been there before. Victor Salazar.
You're missing out,
What's
dude.
up,
You're
man?
missing out. California's beautiful.
What's good, my man? It's been
Hey,
a
what's
few
going
weeks.
on, man?
I know you had a few issues a week ago. It's all good. Hey, look, we're human, man. It happens.
Dude, let's just clear the air right now, dude.
You
I
know?
went to the beach for the first time in like years, man, and I was over at
Oh.
Huntington Beach. It was beautiful. It was
Ooh.
great. Had a little too much fun, dude. I came back red, dude. I'm like
Whoa.
peeling right now like crazy right now. I completely
You got
skipped
a little-
I
you got a
completely
little
skipped
too
the
excited.
sunscreen, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, he
dude,
got a little
completely-
too overexcited. He's like,
dude. I
I'm
was
free!
like, man,
Free now. I can do
Whoa.
whatever I want.
I was
But,
like, dude, I don't think I can do this show. Right? I'm laid out in bed. I'm knocked out. I'm like, man, I'm just, you know what, dude? Let's try to do Sunday. And I'm like, you know what, man, Sunday's not gonna work. I can't. do
Yeah,
this. You know
yeah.
what? We'll just skip it this week. I'm gonna take a sick day. I took a sick.
Yeah, we don't get paid enough by YouTube to dude. They don't make the big money like we some other podcasts. But on this episode, though, we do have a very special guest with us this week. We have he's an artist. He is a teacher. He's very talented. I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman at PopCon Indy. Man, it's been like 2 weeks already. It's crazy how long it's been already. None other than Mr. Brock Sondgeroth. No, it's not Kim, by the way. That's his wife.
Yeah. I see that my wife's name's up
I know.
there.
I noticed that too. Hey, it works.
It's all good. Brock, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. Thanks for
Yes,
taking
welcome,
the
Brock.
time out
Thank
of
you.
your
I
day.
appreciate being on here. It's funny that you
Yeah.
said something about the name because I'm thinking to myself, I logged in through my email, so I'm not sure why my wife's name's up there. Other than the only thing I'm using is her computer because it's got the camera on it. So I don't know. It must just like domain name it just takes over.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
all good, man. Well, hey, it's a pleasure to have you on. We love having artists on the show. We've had artists like Paul Niemeyer on here before, and a few others, and we do appreciate you coming on here as well. We've had Beth, the Chalk Girl, which oddly enough, you and I both know, and that's
Yeah, I
kind
thought
of
it was
how
so ironic.
this whole thing got started, right? So
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's get into it, man. So how long have you been doing art, and what made you decide to get into doing art in the first place? Like where'd this love for what you do start?
Interesting story. I went to college. I played football at Monmouth College,
Okay.
which is a smaller liberal arts D3 school.
Yeah.
And when I went there to play, of course, I'm 46 years old now, and I have RA, and I don't lift and much, but once upon a time I was pretty strong. Those days I'd say pretty
Yeah.
strong. I was very strong. I was the strongest guy on the team. I was, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't go to school to be an art major. I actually went to school because I wanted to be a teacher really bad. I really wanted to be a history teacher. My older brother was a teacher, and it was just kind of something I idolized about him. I have two older brothers. Ironically, one of them was an artist, and the other one was a teacher. And
Nice.
when I went to school, being in a liberal arts school, I had to take a drawing class. And
Yeah, that's right.
I took the drawing class, and I was sitting in the class drawing, and it was one of those classes our teacher would come in. It wasn't a live figure drawing class. It was like a draw crap class. Like he'd throw all this crap in the middle of the room and say, draw it. Let's see what you got.
Right.
Checking out your observational skills and stuff like that, which I didn't know at the time. And I was drawing, and about midway through the semester, he comes walking by, and I'm sketching out my drawing, just enjoying myself, drawing along. And he walks up and he looks down at my drawing, and he said, "What's your major?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a history major. I'm going to be a history teacher." And he said, "You need to change your major." And I said, "Art." And I said to him, "Why would I change my major to art? There's nothing you can do in art," because I didn't know. And he said,
Sure.
"When you're as good as you are, you can do anything." And I was like,
nice.
"Oh," I was like, "Really?" And I was like, I'm pretty good. And he goes, "You're better than all my art majors." And he just walked away. And I
Wow.
sat there, and I was like, "Oh, damn." Like I was never thinking about art. It just kind of came
Sure.
naturally to me. Ironically, it came naturally to me to a point though where I changed my major art, finished college, but nobody ever really taught me any of the skills for art because they just kind of, I honestly say this about college, they expected me to know it. They expected me to, and a lot of things I was just natural at.
Yeah.
So when I became an art teacher, I was a god awful art teacher at first. I was really bad because I couldn't understand why my students weren't good. I'd look at their stuff and be like, whoa, what is that crap you're putting on them? Like, that's horrible. I'd go home and tell my wife, like, I don't know, they suck. That, like, what's going on? And it's funny because I read a few things and I figured out one book that I still to this day I teach from. It's called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. I read that book and it made me realize why I was good at art. And it all happened to do with my older brother, who was an artist. He was 12 years older than me. And I'm sure you guys understand, he was like, my brothers were my idols, my teacher brother, my artist brother.
Sure.
I got to spend time with my artist brother. He would go through art stuff with me, and I just picked it up because he'd point out what I was doing wrong and what I was doing right. And I never realized he was teaching me, from a really young age. And I was like, oh, well, my brother taught me everything I know. So I'm lucky in that standpoint. Really, really lucky that I've been doing art now since about sophomore year of college. So that was 1994. Was my sophomore year of college. So few years.
That's cool, man. I love to hear stories like that because teachers always pick up on those little nuances and the hidden talents. I wouldn't even call it hidden talents, dude. Just the talents of their students, and they'll be like, dude, you can go somewhere with that. And you yourself might not even realize it until it's pointed out to you, So I like to hear stories like that where the teacher, picks that up. So now you being on the other side of that and you being the teacher, it's almost funny to say, to yourself, obviously. They say, oh, man, this guy sucks. What's going on here, man? Is it me or what, But yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, being teacher is great.
Right. And you know what, though, learning how or why I became good at art really helped me become a better teacher. And now I tell every kid that comes in class, now, you come in my art class and I don't care if you can draw or not, but by the time you leave, I'm going to get you to be able to understand how to draw better. No matter what, you could be a good artist right now, and I'm going to hopefully make you better. And if you're not an artist at all, I'm going to hopefully help you become somewhat of an artist, and that's my goal. I said, it's like a math teacher. You walk into a math class, they don't expect you to know algebra the first day you walk in algebra. They've got to teach that to you. And that's what I expect to do too. So I've been lucky in that standpoint, real lucky. I've had quite a few students go on, and I always make it so that if a student goes on, I tell them, you go on an art somewhere, you got to come back to me and teach me something new that you learned in school, because I just love it.
That's awesome. And just to be clear, we're talking about high school students, talking middle school, college.
Yep, high school.
That's fantastic, man. That's
awesome.
Good. That's awesome. I love, every time we have an artist on the show, I love to know I like history too. I know you. It's that's really cool that you teach. You were teaching history. I'm a big history buff myself. I love history. So, and I'm not just talking like I love American history mostly, but I'm just always been that kind of person that I like to know the people's history. The why and how and things like that. So
yeah, I think that's
great.
Too.
That's great to hear. So you took your art and you didn't realize you could do anything with it, which I think is kind of it's pretty
right?
humbling. It's pretty humbling when you find out that you can do something with that.
Right.
And we'll go forward many years to now you're doing conventions, and you never had done a convention before. That's when I met you. Was that PopCon? Tell us how that came to get. How did this whole for the folks listening, who not heard this yet, how did you get to what made you decide to go to conventions, and who kind of helped you bridge that gap to taking your art
usher you in,
show
right?
and guided you in?
Okay, so from my first day of teaching, in college, the one thing I didn't like about where I went to school is they really frowned on comic book art. Because when I did start, I was like, oh, maybe I could do something with comic book art, because I just absolutely loved comic book art. But my professors were very into the fine arts. Like, it's got to be this type of thing. You're doing not Picasso. Well, one of my professors was more abstract artist. One of my professors was really impressionist, and I really do love impressionist art, which is where I kind of focused.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and as time went on, I just kind of worked my own impressionist art. But I taught for 20 some years, and I was a head football coach for a few years of teaching too.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, it was the team that I was coaching. We had a few really, really good years before that, and then we had like 3 straight years where we only won 1 game a year. And I knew, I was like, oh, time's coming. I'm gonna get canned, you know. And my last day of being a coach, they came up and said, we're gonna go a different direction next year. We're gonna go ahead and fire you. And I was like, no, I'll just resign right now. You know, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I had a few other schools around the area contact and say, would you be willing to come over and be our coach and be a football, you know, or be our teacher and coach? We got openings. And I really liked the school I was at. So I said, you know, I'm just done with coaching. I'm not going to do it anymore. Well, that following fall, my buddy, who he and his wife own So Quiltable, he said to me, because we teach in the same school and we always hang out. It's the two of us against the world in the school, you know. And he came down and he said, hey, let's go to a Comic-Con. And at the time I was like, you know, I hadn't really done much comic art in a few years or anything like that. I've been working on my other stuff. And I was like, I don't know. Those things are kind of geeky and stuff like that. And he goes, you're geeky. And I was like,
okay, what's wrong? Like, what's the problem?
Oh yeah, I guess I am. Yeah.
I really am, you know. So he convinced me to go. My wife and I went, which I thought it was funny. We convinced my wife to go because we said there's Harry Potter stuff there, and she's like, oh, okay, you know, she just loves her Harry Potter stuff. So
yeah.
And that's kind of how we got his wife to go too. So we all went up to Wizard World in Wisconsin, Madison, and we went through, and I got to talk to all these artists going through there, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, talking to all these artists and hearing their stories. And I would just go to booth and ask them, you know, questions. And then when I tell them I'm an art teacher, man, I mean, they could be the quietest artist in the world, but they found out I was an art teacher, everybody opened up. And just
and
would tell me everything. It was so cool because hearing their stories, I was like, we left that convention. I'm like, I kind of want to start doing some comic book art. And for years I didn't do it because I was so worried about copyrights, and I was so worried about doing a character and this and that. And one of the things listening to all these artists and talking to them was they gave me, you know, like, look, you got to do it or these companies never see you. If you don't create their characters, they don't see you. And if you get a cease and desist, then stop. But until you do, no, just keep pushing the limit.
Absolutely.
Just keep pushing the limit.
Yep.
And I had never done that, so I was kind of nervous about it. Well, the following spring, my buddy and I went to, I can't remember the name of the con. It was in Chicago. This is where we met Beth, though.
C2E2?
What was it? No, it wasn't C2E2 because that one I can't forget. That one's so awesome.
Yeah.
This one was a good one. It wasn't C2E2 though. It wasn't as big.
Okay.
It was in the Rosemont. Well, Anyway, we're walking through, and my buddy had run off to the restroom, and I'm walking past Beth's booth, you know, the chalk girl, and I'm like, that's amazing. Now I'm watching her do this live chalk drawing, and I'm just stopped there, and I'm like, how in the hell is she doing that with chalk? You know, like, I just stood and watched, and then I went out and found my buddy and came back, and I'm like, look at this is amazing. She's doing this with chalk, and we both stood there in awe for quite a while. And we didn't realize her husband was the one working the booth, you know, and she's drawing. It's like, I hope you guys, you know. And so we stepped over and we're like, she's amazing. He's like, I know, she's my wife.
Of course she's amazing. She's the wife.
She's amazing.
No, but she's awesome.
She is.
Amazing.
She's great.
So when we got, you know, I said, well, I wanted to ask her a couple questions. He goes, ask her. She'll answer anything. And I was afraid to say something to her because she's so into drawing and stuff like that. You know, so I stepped over and we started asking her questions. She was her personality is so fun, you know, this great personality.
Oh yeah.
And then she's talking along. We kind of talked for a little while, and she said, "Well, if you guys come back throughout the day, I'll be farther along with this. You can maybe get a picture, with me with it." So we walked around, came back later in the day, and she got quite a bit done. And when we stepped up, I said, I really want to ask her if she'd consider talking to students, to high school students. And I was like, I don't think I should. Of course, Jason, my buddy's like, just do it. I'm kind of a chicken a lot of times. I really am. I say I'm wimpy about things, but I finally said to her, would you ever consider coming and talking to a group of high school students? And she, oh yeah, she's so excited. That sounds great. I've been wanting to do that for a while. And I thought, nah, she's not really going. Like what big artist would come and talk to students? And we got it all scheduled out. The next school year, boom, she was there. My kids loved it. They loved everything about her. She
That's
demoed.
Awesome.
Yeah, she gave a big presentation for every single one of my classes all day long. She did the chalk drawing in front of the class. She brought and hung up along the edge of the room a bunch of her chalk drawings. Her Thanos, her the music one. You guys, I'm blank on the name of that musical that's out with Hugh Jackman.
Talking Les Mis.
Yeah, not Les Mis. Greatest Showman. Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
She's got an amazing piece on that. Anyway, she had all those in, and she did a bunch of fun stuff. She was just phenomenal while she was in there. Mm-hmm. And one of the times that I actually had to go to a study hall, and she was in my room, my buddy came in, was talking to her, and he showed her some of my art because I had never shown her any of my art. And when I came back in, she's like, you should really consider doing some Comic Cons. And I was like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And she's like, oh, no.
I was saying.
You are. You should just consider going out there doing it. So I've had to be kind of pushed, and she was one of the ones pushing. My buddy's one of the ones pushing. So we've done actually a couple really small, really, really small ones, Mighty Cons, but they were nothing like PopCon was by far. It was the first real one.
Major
big
one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was fun. It was a blast. And we learned a lot there. I mean, we just kind of went and said, let this be a learning experience. So learned a lot more, like to know when you go to a con, what the audience is, I think makes a big difference in just having all sorts of art. So next year when we go, I think I'll have a better understanding of what to bring.
Mm-hmm. Speak on that, Brock. I know that was your first big convention here, and everyone's still trying to get themselves back into the groove of things. Conventions are finally picking up again. So let's speak on that experience. Not only did you attend your first con and you're soaking it up and you're picking up, the nuances of how to get it done, but what did you feel from the crowd, or what kind of things did you pick up from the audience in terms to get you ready for next year?
Well, number one, the excitement in being back. Everybody was. We had so many people come up to the booth and talk about how exciting it was to be back.
Absolutely.
And one thing I had so many people stop at the booth and compliment me on my art, tell me how good my art was, and it was amazing, this and this.
Yeah.
But just say, like, it's just not the stuff they're interested in. Like, your art's amazing, that's really cool, we love that, but I'm more into this.
Right.
And so I didn't take offense to that, because
absolutely.
Everybody's got their thing. I can walk by an artist and go, that's the most amazing thing. I don't want it in my house, but it's the most amazing thing in the world. But what we really realized is, like, at PopCon, which we were kind of told, my biggest sellers were Star Wars things, because I had some Star Wars things, and I had a lot of Marvel, DC stuff. I had almost no anime at all, and I know. I got asked by a ton.
Victor.
I'm the anime guy here, Brock. Come on, man.
I'm gonna have to do a little anime, but I got asked by a ton of people if I had anime, and because they'd see my other stuff and say, "Oh, do you have anime?" So I know they were liking my stuff and they wanted to see if I had it, but I didn't have it. So going into next year's show, I plan to add that in. it just because I think that's going to be a bigger thing there, you know. And as I talk to some other people, they'd say, oh yeah, we change the stuff we bring to shows based on what we know, but that's not something we understood or we knew going into the show, and it's kind of something we learned.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I mean, yeah, PopCon is a great con. I've been to every single in-person one they've had there in Indy, and as it's my hometown, don't live there no more, but it's my hometown, and it's a great con. And yeah, it was absolutely great to get back, and I felt that vibe from a lot of people that was there. And I will say, you know, I feel like a lot of times, I don't know if I would say a lot of times, but sometimes when people go to a convention, I feel like the artists get kind of overshadowed by the celebrity guests that kind of show up. And I don't know how many conventions you've been to, period, whether it's, you know, even before you were a vendor there. but me personally, the celebrities, I mean, great. You know, they have them at the con to try to bring the revenue in, and that's fine. But I mostly am there to see the artists and the panels and the vendors, because to me, because to me, it's like, you know, I like going to art museums in general. Right. I like going to those kind of, you know, you see the real fine art, like, you know, we're talking like $1 million piece art, right? But the thing about those places, you don't get to talk to a lot of those artists because most of them are dead. Let's be real. Right. And or they live in some foreign country, like thousands of miles away. You just can't. You don't have that. It's not personal, right? Right. And and all you get is a plaque, if that, about their art, and that's it. That's all you get. But what I like about going to these conventions is it's in a way kind of like living art, in the sense that you have cosplayers who, that's art. You know that.
They're awesome.
Spend all this time making these costumes and things like that, and especially in the last year, you know, there's been so many new fandoms come out that people haven't had the opportunity to like get out there and show off because there's been no conventions. And then that's the same, but the same thing goes to artists too, because they're creating art. And I know a lot of people in the past year have had to kind of in some way shift or change or kind of reconfigure their state of life because of the pandemic, of course, in the past year. And it's been great to, you know, talk to people and talk to artists. You know, I did a lot of that at PopCon this 2 weeks ago, and trying to see, like, you know, what did you do? What have you been doing? You know, like, and just being able to get out there, because for a lot of these vendors, that's their livelihood. These conventions are their livelihood. Like, they really don't they make more. A lot of these vendors make more money at cons than they do via their Etsy shops or their personal online shops they have set up or whatever. I want to ask you something, Brock. I mean, what's it been like the past year for you? But, you know, with this pandemic going on, in the sense of your art and things like that.
Make any changes or anything like that?
You know, what have you had to do to kind of go with the flow? Boy.
For me, like, we had a few Comic-Cons, just smaller ones, scheduled right when the pandemic hit. We had done a couple really small ones right before it hit, and then it hit. And honestly, the first 4 or 5 months of the pandemic was so crazy, being a teacher, for one thing. And the way that we got shut down in school. And I don't know if a lot of people realize this, we got told on a Monday that they were closing the next day, grab some of the things and we'll be back in a week. So everybody's like, oh crap, well, here we go. We're grabbing some things that, you know, like walking out the door, and then we get told you're shut down the rest of the school year. You can't go back into the school to get anything. Everybody's going, you know, like, well, now you're going to teach your class online, and I'm an art teacher and all my kids' projects are in their lockers at school, or in the storage at school. And I'm going, how in the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I've got, my school district is extremely mixed for income. We have the lowest low income, and we have some wealthy kids at this public school. So, and I have everything in my class, from the kids that have everything to the kids that have nothing.
Sure.
And like, how do you teach that variety of kids when you're saying, well, our next project's supposed to be an acrylic painting. Nobody could get the acrylics, so it literally changed in all my classes to I had a form filled out and said, what do you have at your house that you can make anything with? And I had kids coming back like, we don't even have pencils or pens. And like on their thing, and I'm going, holy cow. So I would give them a project. I want you to make a piece of art with whatever you can find, like whatever you can find. And then I give them like a prompt and say, do how you feel, how this pandemic made you feel in a portrait in whatever way you can do it. Get a picture of it, send me the picture. And thank God one thing our school does is the Chromebooks. So every kid had a Chromebook, and some of the kids don't even have cameras, so they'd be taking pictures. Like I had a kid lay out grass on the ground and draw in the dirt.
Wow.
For one of their things, and they're like, I didn't have anything else, so this is what I did. And because I knew the kid, I knew they were telling me the truth. Like I knew they had nothing else at home, but they didn't want to fail the project.
Of course.
So they drew the dirt for me.
Yeah, that's insane to hear that, because I know we've had several people speak on how the pandemic has changed their livelihood and their way
no
of
doubt
life.
about it. Yeah,
but I don't. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've had the perspective just yet of a teacher, correct?
Yeah, we have
especially
not.
An art teacher, where you need the materials to teach the children, and it's interesting to hear how you had to adjust and on the fly. It seems too, to be able to teach the kids something in whichever way you can. And it's again, I applaud teachers across this world, because
thank you.
They need
absolutely, man,
to teach the kids.
Yeah.
And this is a prime example of where, you can't give them the materials. You can't provide them with the classroom environment.
Right.
Trying to figure this out through tech. And sometimes it just comes down to bare basics, man, where you're drawing on the dirt to pass your class. That's insane. And genius move on the child too, or on the kid. Because come on, a lot of people will be like, damn, what do I do? And they figure it out. So I think it definitely sparks creativity in a way that we're trying to figure out how we can figure this out. I mean, lack of a better phrase, just figuring it out. And it's great to see that's still there, man. Because I think some of these kids do lack imagination because they're so stuck in front of a computer these days. But to be able to see that, these students can figure it out was amazing.
Right. And we did have some kids who just kind of shut it down with the whole thing. And our school was very much, we can't punish the kids for the way this happened, because you think about kids coming into school, and when I became a teacher, I'm going to be honest when I say this, the way that teachers are rated, or they come through and go, well, how are your students improving in this area? How are they improving in that area? When it comes to me being an art teacher, I can literally write down, based on my assessment, this kid improved, and they're going to go, okay, well, math teacher is not going to, they have to show that physical proof.
Yeah,
of
but
course.
There's like PE or not PE teacher, principals, superintendents, stuff like that they don't understand what I'm seeing. So they agree with me. I mean, I never
they trust your knowledge.
Yeah,
of course. I never have anybody go, are you sure they improved? They're like, okay, we believe you. So I'm lucky in that area. But for example, a couple of years ago, I had a student, and we get rated on this. This knocks us down for this kind of thing. But I had a student come into class. He was a 5th-year senior, and he was in my art class. But this kind of goes along with the way the pandemic is and how kids shut down. This student would just sit there. He'd walk in. I'd get the projects out. The kids would get the project out. I'd teach them what they're going to do for the day. They'd let them work on it, because we usually have like a 10, 15 minute of me teaching, and then they get 40 minutes to work on the project.
Mm-hmm.
And he would work. He would just sit there and stare at the desk. He wouldn't look at his phone. He wouldn't talk to other kids. He wouldn't cause a problem. He'd just sit there. So he wasn't a bad kid by any means. And after about 5 or 6 weeks of this kid sitting there in my class doing nothing, I said, I don't want to say his name, but I said, well, because I remember it. I said, why are you not doing anything? I don't understand. You're not a bad kid. You don't do anything wrong. This makes no sense to me. And he said, I can't pass your class. I said, what do you mean you can't pass my class? He said, I can't pass your class because my dad died 5 years ago and my mom is on disability. And if I pass your class, we lose the benefits from my dad because once I graduate, the benefits disappear. I am sitting here so that we still have the benefits.
Yeah.
And it hit me like a brick wall that, holy cow, this can't be the only kid that is this way. How many kids in our system are doing something for a reason we don't know?
Yeah,
or
man.
you know, and we're being evaluated for that. Like I'm being evaluated because I can't get him to work, but he won't work on stuff because
he's got family
situation.
Yeah,
his situation. Wow.
He doesn't want to lose the benefits, and that blew me away. That just literally blew me up. But in this situation with COVID, we had kids that would do the drawing in the dirt. Then I had other kids who literally would message me and say, my mom and dad's work shut down. I'm the only one whose job is still going. I don't have time to do my homework. Like,
yeah, that's insane, man.
Like, holy shit.
Know?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, they're supporting the house because their parents' work got shut down. And that
damn, man.
So
that's crazy.
For being an artist, for me through COVID with doing all my fun stuff, I had a lot of time to do it. I had a lot of time to build my stock. I had a lot of time to do stuff. I was a lucky one. I was a very lucky one because I kept teaching and I kept doing stuff. I was on the extreme lucky end, and I understand there's a lot of people out there who really struggle, and I know that because of I have their kids in my class. So,
yeah. The perspective, man, I'm telling you, that's why I was curious to see if there was anything like that going on with the kids, and what kind of mindset they're in. And as you can see, that spectrum is wide, dude. There's others that will figure it out, and there's others that have figured it out and said, dude, this is why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
If I don't, family comes first for many of these kids, and that's just how it is.
100%.
That's crazy, and
that's
interesting.
That's insane, man.
That's to hear things like that. And as a teacher, I'm sure that you have plenty of stories like that throughout the years, because there's just the mindset of that young child, that young adult, is completely can be from two spectrums, dude. And it's crazy to me to hear things like that. It's just insane.
Yeah. And the whole situation with my students that way, students losing family members. We had a big outbreak of it in the town that I teach in. When we went to go back to school this last year, we actually moved back the start of the school year because our school wanted to be in person the whole school year. So we started a little bit later because there was a huge outbreak in Mendota, and we kept it under control. We were in person the entire school year. Kids listened really well to the rules. I was a little nervous at first because I'm immunocompromised. I have very severe RA, which does affect my drawing. I have to take days off because I can't use my hands. But I was lucky, and I think from my perspective, I'm a very empathetic person, so I see these students and I think to myself, just because of that one student, what he told me, and understanding how other students, students will come in, and they're in the kind of place where they dump their problems on you too. They'll be working on a project and they'll say like, Mr. Sondgeroth, I have this problem going on, and they tell you a lot of things, and you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that's happening to you.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
man, not all heroes wear capes. I'm telling you. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes those kids just need a voice, need a person that would just listen to them, man.
Yeah,
that's big work, man.
That's heartbreaking to hear, man. That hits me right in the feelings, man. That's heartbreaking to hear.
It does.
Like,
we're big on community, man. We're big on the community, and anybody that can give back to their community in any way, shape, or form is big props to them. So I'm glad to hear that, definitely helping out the kids that way. I know Brian feels the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's like it's just kind of like want to reiterate what Victor said. I feel like in this country especially, teachers get slighted a lot, more often than they shouldn't. And whether it's being underpaid or not paid enough attention to, or concerned or whatever. we could get into that whole subject, but you get, and I'm sure you very well know what I mean by that. It's reasons like this that put that into perspective, is that, at the end of the day, a lot of these kids come from different lifestyles or homes or things like that, and you don't know that,
Right.
and a lot of times, they look to you as their I guess therapist, or their way, or their means of getting that out. And I would say that for you to have a child be like so forthcoming to you, that puts a lot of perspective about you, that they trust you, and that they see you as this good person that wants to help them out and things like that. And obviously you can't help them entirely in their situation, as much as you wish you could, but yeah, man, that's the thing about teachers, man, is especially here, is I hate that they don't get what they deserve, and I'm speaking from experience. I've never taught, but I've had some pretty great teachers in my life. I actually had it's funny that you teach history, or you did before. I had an amazing history teacher in high school. I mean, he's since passed away, and great guy. I mean, he was the reason that got me into loving history so much.
Yeah.
And they just don't. You guys put so much on your shoulders for people. And
dude, his history teachers are a different breed, man. Because my high school history teacher was amazing too, Mr. B. That's listening, man.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, though. I mean, if it wasn't for teachers, man, what would we know? I mean, how would we discover what we love and what we appreciate, about life and things? And that's why I love about having you on, because we've had so many artists on the show, and we haven't really had many art teachers on the show. I think Rivka. Miss Rivka might have been a teacher, art teacher, but especially during these hard times, this pandemic has made things so much more, difficult. Right. And so when you have kids that are already in a difficult situation, and then you put this on top of that, it's rough, man. But it's great that we have guys like you, though, teachers like you, who are able to, bring some light or some joy into their life. And that's why I've always loved about art. That's what I've always loved about art is artists, man. You could tell they're just so passionate about what they do. And it's like what you said, when you went to conventions and you were opening up to people about you being in art, and it was like a trigger, like, whoa, like what? And they were so forthcoming. For me, it's kind of that same way. I don't teach art. I couldn't draw to save my life, but I will say it's kind of funny because when I go to conventions, I wear a press pass. So that's kind of like, oh, he's in the media. I got to talk to this guy. And I get that kind of same thing.
Yeah.
And so I get the opportunity also to hear, a lot of these artists. And it's kind of funny. You talked about earlier how you're like, I mean, I'm not really into that sort of thing, but don't get me wrong. You're great at what you do. And I see that a lot because I'm a nerd. I'm a hardcore nerd. And there's not many things like anime. I used to watch a lot of anime. I don't really watch it much anymore. That's what Victor's for. He's kind of like my, and so I see things and I'm not really that into, but I can't help but appreciate how good the artist is at what they do.
That's what I was gonna say, man. It's the appreciation of the skill. Yes. Doesn't matter exactly what it is that you're making, dude. It could be the awesomest quilt in the world. Not my style, but dude, that looks amazing. Look at the stitching on that. Just awesome. That's art's different, impressionist or whatever kind of style it is. Anime, realism, portrait, whatever, dude. You can appreciate the skill. And when you're walking these conventions and you're walking down the aisles, these are all people that have a certain skill and they're trying to show it off. And as you're walking by, I'm in awe, dude. That's why I was in awe. I haven't gone to a convention in God knows how long, but it's like, oh, that's freaking amazing. Like, what's your inspiration for this? Or that's an awesome piece. How'd you come up with that? The Lego art, the Lego table that we saw at the convention, dude.
Yeah, that Lego display was amazing.
Legos are awesome, but they have their own set piece that has an amazing set that they built themselves. That was amazing. I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool. That they someone had to spend all that time building that city that they built.
Yeah.
Right.
I probably wouldn't do it in my house, but someone did it, and you gotta appreciate that skill, man.
I think for a lot of artists too, and I don't know, Brock, how you feel about this. Do you feel that, like, when you're at a place like a convention and you're surrounded by artists, does that give you inspiration for things like seeing all that? I'm sure that's a great place to even to be even more inspired. When you were there, I don't know how much of a chance you got to walk around PopCon or roam around. Were there some things there at PopCon in particular that you were like, man, I would love to like do that? Or what are some things you took away from it for yourself?
One of the artists that I admired there a lot, and I've talked to him before. I didn't get a chance to this time, but I talked to him at C2E2 actually, was Stuart Sager. Mm-hmm. He's got some cool stuff. I just really like some stuff. And then there were just other artists as you walk through. Like, I like the way they use their colors. Like, I really like most of their pieces. They'd be completely different characters, but they use their colors in the same way for each character. And I liked like the unity that it created and all the pieces and stuff like that. And there were just a lot of ideas. I thought, as I'd walk through and I'd go, maybe I should like try to focus my characters all towards like one type of pose more, or maybe not that pose, but more certain type of colors and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot though that goes on in your mind as you walk through and you see all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you also like, I took a lot of cards as I walked through because I wanted to see more of this artist's work.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yep.
And stuff like that. And like my room here, as I've gone to cons just over the last couple of years, has become a print gallery of different artists that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I started saying, or I kind of mentioned something I think before. I built this frame that goes around my room. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of tip the computer here, see if you guys.
I see that. Cool. Yeah.
So just to be clear, Brock, this is some of the collection pieces you've picked up from other artists.
Yes,
correct.
Yes, this is from other artists.
Yeah.
See, so that's awesome, man. That's support right there. I love it.
I built this frame. See, where up on top, I've got signed comic books.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Yeah.
And I'm gonna step over here. I got my doors over here that have like these are Art Germ signed comics.
Wow,
that's so cool, dude. Check it out.
Alex Ross signed comics.
Oh, I'm jealous. Oh man,
I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I've got 20 things signed by Alex Ross.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And then like Ken Lashley is one of my favorites. You can't really see what I got there because of the glare, but
that's amazing.
I got
the Joker's awesome. Look at
this whole side of the room.
Yeah.
On top. Yeah, I'm as big of a fan, and I think artists are that way. Like I fanboy other artists probably more than I do actors or stuff like that. Where, of course. Like my absolute favorite artists, you can tell because I got 17 comics. I got 3 books. They're all Alex Ross ones. Alex Ross, my favorite artist in the world.
Oh, he's great. I love Alex Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got lucky. A little story about this. So I did this room and I put a picture of it up on Facebook. It was like 2 years ago, and I had some things from Alex Ross in here, and I had like my favorite comic, the comic that got me started in Alex Ross. I just finished college and I picked up Marvels, and I was like, nice. Whoa, this is amazing. As I read through it, I'm like, number one, the storyline was great. Number two, the art. Oh man, the art amazing.
Oh yeah, man.
And I fell in love with Alex Ross's style at that point in time. And anyway, so I kind of put some pictures up here. My wife started teaching at Cole City High School. She's a Spanish teacher. Mm-hmm. And we made some friends there at Cole City. And one of the friends saw my post about Alex Ross's stuff and went down to my wife's room and said, "Hey, does your husband want to meet Alex? My husband's friends with him."
What?
Whoa.
So my wife contacted me and said, "You're not going to believe this, but
that is crazy, dude.
Our school secretary knows Alex."
Him.
And I was like, "Nuh-uh, like this guy's been my idol for years." I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh no." She said her husband's pretty good friends with him. I'm like, "No, like you got to be lying. There's no way." Like the guy that I idolize. She's like, "No." So like it ended up, she said that Alex is obviously a very busy man. He's one of the most popular comic book artists in the world.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And he doesn't go to Comic-Cons anymore because he gets he's like
mobbed, huh?
he's a rock star at Comic-Cons.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't go to Comic-Cons and sign. Well, he had an exhibit in Chicago. It was a very not like well published exhibit, but he had an exhibit of his art of all the Marvel's artwork from his newest Marvel's collection, and he had all his original art in there up on the walls, and he was going to be there to sign. So we got in there to sign, and I was one of the first ones in line. I got up, and I went complete fanboy. I was shaking vocally, and I was trying to say,
I love it, man. I love it.
I can't get anything out. I'm like trying to hand him this stuff. Well, it was funny because at this show, you could have 5 pieces autographed by him. So wow. My wife went with, my best friend Jason went with, his wife went with, and one of my students had like 2 or 3 pieces he wanted. So we took one of my students to Chicago with too. And everybody had like 5 of my pieces. So it was, my wife had 5
hey, that's pieces. How you do it, man.
My buddy had 5 of my pieces. So everybody going through, they're all getting my stuff signed.
That's awesome, man.
But it was funny because when my wife stepped up, she said to him, "Hi, Alex." She's not fanboy like I am. She's like, "Hi, Alex. My friend LaWanda Gagliardo says hi to you." He's like, "Oh, LaWanda, how are her and her husband doing?" And he's like, and I'm like, holy shit, he really does know them.
He does know. That's great, man.
And he's like, I haven't seen them in a long time, and he's going on, and I'm just like completely,
dude,
like my jaw
flabbergasted. Yeah. Oh man.
So that was my cool like art fan experience to meet another artist, and like, oh my god. And I think it's so funny now because I got lucky, and I got 500,000 followers on TikTok, and I still have a couple people that like react that way, fanboying like in their comments and stuff to me, like, oh my god, I can't believe you commented, this is so amazing. I'm like, I'm a nobody, like I don't know what you're so excited. I got lucky and had a couple viral videos, and people started following me. So
this is why art's amazing, man. It speaks to people, man. You just never know who it's gonna speak to it. And when you see that piece or when you see that style, it resonates with you, man. It's like, oh, that's my style, that's my guy, that's my artist right there. I love this stuff. And it touches people, man. And I'd love to hear stories like that because that's just amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I love to hear that kind of stuff too. I mean, that's that's something that we might want to ask people that come on the show in the future. Like, who's your who do you fanboy over? Because that's cool. That's really cool to hear that, man. That you got to meet Alex. I'm so jealous, man. Alex Ross. Then again, I met Stan Lee, so I have no room to talk.
Oh,
but
man.
You had to throw that in there, right?
I met the father of everybody, of everything I love. Like,
exactly.
So but no, that's a fantastic story to hear. Because I mean, of course, artists are inspired by other art. That's just how that works, man. Anything you do, like I write. And there's other, gaming journalists and things that inspire me, and I love their pieces, and I get it. It's just how it is, and that's really cool to hear that story about Alex Ross, man. He's such a damn good artist, man. Oh man,
right.
I love his Spider-Man. That's my favorite, me personally. The Spider-Man work.
Oh, ooh, I love it too. Do you guys happen to know who Ken Lashley is?
That sounds so familiar. I'm sure I do.
He's done a few runs on X-Men and Spider-Man.
Okay,
stuff like that. He's a phenomenal artist, and he was one of those that I kind of was. I've watched for a while because I loved. I don't know if you remember the Age of Apocalypse series back in
I think
the
so.
90s.
In the 90s,
yeah.
He did some of that art. And I got to meet him at C2E2 right before COVID hit.
Oh, nice, man.
that was so cool. Now here I am. I've not done what he told me to do as I should, but literally we went through, we're talking, and the guy was the nicest guy in the world. He's talking to me, he's telling me stuff. And my wife, of course, says to him, well, he's an artist too. And he does. And I'm like, I'm not saying this stuff to him. I'm just kind of talking to him. And he goes, send me your portfolio. I want to look at it. And I was like,
oof,
and of
nice.
course, I've not done it because I'm like, I don't have good enough stuff to send him to him yet. I keep second guessing myself with all this stuff. But it's just so cool.
Just do it like your friend said. Just do it, man.
Just do it.
I'm that dude. I'm that guy. I'm like your friend. I am that person. Like,
yeah, me too, dude. I'm like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna get a no.
What's gonna happen?
True.
That's amazing.
Man. I know.
Yeah, you really
but
should.
He was really cool, and like, I wasn't even asking about that kind of stuff. And he's like, I'll give you suggestions. I'll tell you, and I was like,
that's awesome, dude.
That's awesome that he's telling me that stuff. But that's what I noticed with most artists. I mean, they're so cool to talk to, and like they're people,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of been my experience too. Like I do convention reviews, and I've had the honor of meeting so many people. And for me, when I do it though, it's different because I try to be professional. So it's like I think you and I had a conversation about this actually at PopCon, and it's like, man, it's so hard to like not be, when you're standing in front of somebody like Stan Lee, or you're standing in front of somebody like, Joel from Mystery Science Theater 3000. That was great. That was cool to me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like these are people to me that like, oh my god, and I think the one time that I kind of fanboyed out was, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. I think I told you about this. It's when I met Ric Flair, dude. Because like he's probably like my all-time favorite pro wrestlers growing up as a kid, and this man's like right in front of me, and he just had like a heart attack, and he had a surgery. Oh. He's out here doing a convention still. I've met him twice already.
That's cool.
And I'm like this is crazy. And I get that, man. I've met people from Star Wars and things like that too, and it's just so weird. So I get that. I kind of get that. You don't want to kind of go over and like say, oh, hey, by the way, I'm an artist too, and I do this.
Right.
Do that, like. Because you're there for them, it's the moment that you're in, and I understand that, man.
That's why you have the wingman do it. It looks like your wife is awesome. She's pushing you, man. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, she's an awesome wingman. That's for sure.
Yeah, awesome,
your wife, she's got some art that she does too, right? She puts some art on some purses and things like that.
Yes.
Can you go into that with us too? And
yeah, really cool. She started taking some of my art and. She gets them printed on fabric, and then incorporates it into purses, and stuff like that. So, in fact, I could say something to her right now. I'm sure she'd grab one or two and bring it in here. But I was gonna say, that's been pretty good for selling. Somebody comes up and like, oh my God, that's really cool. That purse like that. And next thing you know, they're purchasing my art, not in a print, but on a purse. So, that's kind of cool how that goes down. Cool. But yeah, and she can honestly say, well, you won't find this person anywhere else because I'm the only one that has this.
Right,
because I made it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good when the couple gets into the thing. I love to see that for sure.
Real quick, I know we've been talking about different styles and different things and what's changing since the pandemic. In terms of art and in terms of moving forward, what do you have in the works right now? Are you looking to venture off aside from the anime stuff? I know you said you wanted to jump into anime or give that a shot. Is there anything else that you're looking to give a shot or trying or looking into, or maybe dab into?
I want to broaden my collection of what I have, and I'm always working to, basically improve. Because I am an art teacher, I do everything, and what I mean by that is some of my prints have come from acrylic paintings I've done. Some of my prints have come because I've got I don't know if you pronounce a Wacom or Wacom board, but that I draw on Photoshop on my computer. Mm-hmm. I've got an iPad that I draw on, and I've got prints from the iPad. Some of them I've done. I've taken like these, I'm sure you guys see the comic covers and stuff like that. This is one of those marker comic covers. Copic markers. I love working in Copic markers. They are
that's cool,
super fun. So, and then some of them I get done with. I'm like, that's really cool. And then I, take a picture of it and do a little edit work and turn it into a print and stuff like that. So,
nice.
For me, character wise, I'm just going to keep expanding what I have. I've got a lot of Marvel. I want to get most of the Justice League characters done for DC.
Yeah.
And when they really start incorporating some of the X-Men into the MCU, I really want to jump on that trend with getting some of those characters and stuff like that, because X-Men is where it started for me. I was an X-Men fan when I was a little kid.
Me too. Yep.
If I could get the comic book for X-Men, that was the coolest thing. Wolverine and Cyclops and some of those guys. Man. My favorite two, Colossus and Nightcrawler. Oh man, I've got a Nightcrawler print, but I don't have a Colossus print. So I'm actually working on that right now. I'm in the middle of sketching one out right now. So yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Speaking about X-Men in the 90s, dude, we're gonna tie them in together. Did you ever collect those trading cards with the artwork on it, man? Back in the 90s? Those were amazing.
I did.
Amazing.
I don't know what happened.
Those were great.
Yes. Those were awesome. I was collecting the crap out of
those were really cool. I remember those.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. There's things I wish I could go back and like, what the hell were you thinking? Where did you put those? Or like, what did you do with them?
Oh, dude, that happens to me all the time. We watch these shows, and these collectors, and I'm like, damn it, I had that when I was a kid.
Yes.
Right?
Keyword had.
Of them, dude.
There's so much crap I had. And I'm like, man, you ever watch that show, The Toys That Made Us on Netflix?
Oh, yes, on Netflix.
Dude, I watched that show and it kills me because I know at least 50 of those things I had. And I'm like, man, if I had them now.
The Toys That Made Us, I had... Like the only toy I really collected as a kid were He-Man. I freaking loved He-Man. It was right at my age where I was like 5, 6 years old when He-Man came out. I collected all of them. I kept all of them. I kept them all in a toy bin.
Really?
When we adopted my son when he was 5 years old, I let him start playing with them. He broke a few of them, unfortunately. Snapped their legs off, and I think he must have thrown them out so Dad didn't find out they were gone because my grandson, now I have a grandson that's 4 years old, and my grandson is right at that age where He-Man, he's got, like, we pulled my figures out, and of course he started playing with them, the legs snapped off a few of them, but they've got the new ones coming out that
came out yesterday.
And so we binge watched yesterday. I had my grandson here yesterday.
I have not watched that yet. I can't wait.
I haven't seen it either.
I can't wait.
We watched all 5 episodes together. And he's just, loving it.
How crazy, what a resurgence, right?
Well, hey, you need to...
He's got the He-Man out playing with them, and he's standing holding He-Man going, I got the power.
Nice, I love it.
Power, but okay.
Well, you need to... So if you're a big He-Man fan, it's funny because we actually had Tom Kalinske on our show.
We did.
Cool. He's the guy that made those toys. You know that, right? He put that whole line out. So you need to go back and
listen into that conversation with Tom. That was a great conversation.
Dude, Tom, that was... Yeah. That was probably, to me, one of my biggest people that I've really enjoyed talking to. My God,
that'd be crazy.
That was crazy. He did Matchbox. He did
those.
Sega. He did the Mattel stuff. I mean, he did all that stuff, man. So yeah, we talked about He-Man for a good minute. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, my wife's a big She-Ra fan, and so so I started watching the other day. I was gonna start watching. She had to go somewhere. She's like. I was like, "Are you sure it's okay if I?" Because when you're about to get into something, you got to ask your wife, like, "Is this cool if I watch it?
Can I watch an episode without you or not?"
And then she's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I'm like, "You're really, 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 really sure if it's okay if I go ahead and watch Masters of the Universe Revelation?" So then she started watching it. She's like, "No, don't watch it yet." I was like,
how it is, man.
I'm a big Kevin Smith fan too, so like I'm not sure if you remember he did that show. So
and what's really funny about Masters of the Universe for me is I started watching a little bit. My wife kind of came in and next thing you know, she's sitting in there watching it. And it's always like, if she gets up and walks out of the room, I know she's into a series and she's like, pause it.
Better pause it.
She gets up, she goes up, she's like, pause this. And I'm like, you're watching it? She goes, yeah. That's what happens. I was like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what happened to me yesterday morning. I was like, "You sure if I watch this? You really sure?" Like, cause I gotta make like, really.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't watch it. Yeah, I was like, okay.
Dude, you gotta not just ask anymore. Just pause it, man. Just be safe.
Yeah,
Just
right,
pause
no
it.
doubt. Like, I'll stop. I'll
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Wait. That's great though.
That's
man.
awesome, dude.
But before we get off of here, we got so Brock was ever so kind to while I met him at PopCon, he was ever so kind to provide us with three prints of his that he has signed. I'm going to show you guys, and we're going to be doing a giveaway. That's going to start.
Giveaway.
That's going to start right now, as you guys are seeing this, and there's going to be a link in the bottom of the description here on this YouTube video for you guys to go and enter this giveaway. There's going to be some things you'll have to do to enter, whether it's going to be following Brock on TikTok or on Instagram or what have you. But I'm going to show you these prints. This is what you guys have the opportunity to possibly win. And he gave me some really good ones. And so we're going to start off with this amazing Steve Rogers.
Oh, look at that.
Captain America. You guys can see
Captain
that.
America.
Oh, yeah,
That was
baby.
really cool.
Can't go wrong with Captain America. And so we got the cap. And then next up, I really like this one a lot. Although not my personal favorite Avenger.
Dude, you're keeping me in suspense. Come
Not
on.
my
dude.
personal favorite Avenger. It's so fun when I know things and nobody else knows. Anyway, we have this amazing Hulk.
Oh, look at that. That's cool too, man.
How good you guys can see that. There we go.
Hey, you know what? What's the sizes of these, man? They look to be pretty sizable too. We're looking at
both
what?
of
About
those,
16
both
by
those are 11
24?
by 17.
11 by 17?
Yeah.
And then you
Oh,
got
dude.
Brock has signed these for you, by the way.
Oh, nice. I love that little image too, dude.
There we go.
Love it.
And then this is my personal favorite.
I know which one this one is.
You know which one this is. And because it actually made sense considering the guy who does the voice of this character was there. That was really cool to meet him, by the way.
Yeah.
We have none other than Darth Winnie the Pooh.
Darth Pooh.
Nice.
Darth Pooh.
Darth Pooh.
Darth Pooh.
Trying to get force feeding himself that literally force feeding. See what I did there?
Yes.
Himself that honey, that delicious honey. And,
That's awesome, dude.
This is one that I need to just buy. I need to get this and hang this up back here.
And put it right next to
here,
Master
right,
Chief
right
right
under
there. Yeah.
right under Beth's little thing. You need to get one and
Yeah.
put that. But yeah,
We talked about naming him, and I said he's either Darth Pooh or Pooh Vader. But then I said Pooh Vader just doesn't sound right.
no, it's Darth Pooh. I like that.
Darth Pooh just.
I like how
rolls
you
off
got the
tongue,
ears
dude.
popping out of the helmet there too. That's just
Yeah.
so freaking adorable, man.
That's awesome.
I dig it.
So we're gonna have all the
So, yeah.
details on this giveaway on the widget, which will have a link underneath the YouTube
Yes.
video. I'm pretty sure we can put the link on the audio files as well, right?
Okay.
Spotify and whatnot.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to put it on the Spotify. So what we'll do is, for those of you listening right now to the audio, please go to the YouTube. You'll find the link, but we'll have this posted
We'll have
on
it
our
everywhere. dude.
Hey, we'll have it on our
and
Twitter.
Facebook
We'll have
and
it on
everything else.
Instagram. We'll have it on Facebook. So there's not going to be a missed opportunity to find where you can enter. We're going to have this giveaway going for about 2 weeks, maybe 3. We'll see. You'll see in the link below how long we'll be doing this for, and then of course we'll pick the winners, and we'll announce those winners on our episode, and we'll have those all shipped out to you, just like how we shipped out the prints from our good friend, the Chalk Girl Beth, and we'll get those sent out. But thank you, Brock, for being so
no
kind
problem.
to
Amazing
provide
pieces,
us
guys.
with your prints, and it's great to get your art in the hands of many others too, right? And then we're also going to have So Quiltable here on our show as well. Probably in a few weeks, and looking forward to those guys. And I know they're your friends. You guys teach at the same school, which is that's really cool. That's really, really neat.
Small
that you guys
world,
do
man, I'm
that.
telling
It's a
you.
little small world there. And but before we go, Brock, you got any where can these people listen and find you and find your art, and they want to buy some prints maybe, and you ship them, where can they go to look at all that stuff?
Well, if they want to see some of my art, you can go to www.brocksondgeroth, and it's BrockSondgeroth.com. I have a lot of art on there. I have to update some of the new ones. I don't think I've updated in the last 2 months, so I'm missing a few prints because I've done quite a few in the last 2 months, honestly. And then I've got videos on TikTok. I do a lot of process videos where I show, and I got a lot of followers from doing what I do. I do a lot of single line videos where I put the pen on the paper, don't lift the pen until I'm done drawing, and record the whole thing just in one stroke and draw it.
Those are awesome. Yeah.
I saw your ET. That was really cool. The ET one.
Thank you.
That was awesome. That was really cool.
I've got a lot of, I do a lot of popular new characters in those videos. So like Batman or Mandalorian or different ones. And a lot of the way I do them now, because it gets more comments and it gets more views, is I do like a Pictionary style where I start drawing it and I talk and say like, hey, what am I drawing? Tell me what you think this is going to be before I finish.
Right.
And it gets people to come on and say stuff. But ironically, it would make sense. I'm an art teacher. The videos that went viral, and for me, viral, it was 37 million views for one of the videos. And then stuff like that was just literally me giving a little instructional video. Like, hey, this is how you do this. And I went, holy crap, how did that was amazing. But I guess it makes sense because I teach art. So I'm used to showing techniques and stuff. So I show techniques on there. I show videos of my process of art. I do single line. I do all sorts of art on my TikTok. And the TikTok is it's different. It's art_is_life_9799. And that's where you'll see I do most of my stuff on there because I'm a creator on there, and have luckily been getting paid a little bit for some of those videos and stuff that on TikTok too. So
that's
great, man.
Don't worry, guys. We're gonna have all these links in the description, so you can go ahead and put that pen and paper down. Don't worry about writing this stuff.
Yeah. We'll have all of Brock's social media links under this video you guys are watching here, and then of course, for those of you audio listeners out there, I'll have those links also included wherever the links are posted for the audio. You'll be able to find Brock and his work. Brock, do you have any other conventions coming up that you plan on going to?
Not this year yet. Well, very small. We've got, and this makes it easier for us, we've got a really small couple of little Harry Potter type. Nice. When I say small, they're small, but the nice thing about it, we know it's Harry Potter, and that's all that we're taking to it. And I've got quite a stash of Harry Potter related art, so that'll work well for us.
Nice.
But nothing into next year yet. We'll start looking. I feel really confident after the PopCon. I was a little nervous about it because, like I said, I'm immunocompromised. I was a little worried, but I thought it was great. I've had the vaccine. I'm good. For me, I think I needed to do that just because I found out I had RA right before COVID hit. I remember the doctor telling me right before COVID hit that if I got sick with anything, it was going to be worse because my blood levels were so bad. And then COVID hit, and I went, oh, good God.
Yeah,
no. That's understandable.
So that's the only reason con-wise we're not doing a lot yet this year, but we'll get into more.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, hey, we look forward to seeing you at some future conventions, and hopefully you'll be back at PopCon next year. Run to you again, and go from there. And hopefully this guy over here, Victor, will be with me.
Heck
in person.
Yeah, and not do this phone thing because that was kind of weird, but it was cool.
Yeah.
I got to see some stuff.
Yeah, man.
That was awesome. That was a good experience.
we appreciate you, Brock, for joining us here today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And
I really appreciate it.
And you're more than welcome to join us anytime.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to have you back. Absolutely. We're always having people back on here. And I'll lead right in with that to if you are an artist or a content creator or whatever, working in the entertainment industry, pop culture relatable, and you want to come on our show, please feel free to join us here. We actually may be having a return guest from this show, Cobra Kai, coming on here soon. Can't really announce that fully yet, but it's looking like that might happen. So we might be having him back on. And then, but yeah, we're all about promoting people and promoting what they do, because what they do is what we love. So that works out. So, but we appreciate you, Brock, for being on here today. And thank you so much for joining us here on the Dragoncast. And we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
Later.
Later.